excited on Friday morning when we got word that Dr. Ruth Calderon would be able to join us this morning at the plenary. And I am thrilled to introduce Dr. Ruth Calderon, Israeli Knesset. She established the first Israeli secular, pluralistic, and egalitarian Beit Midrash for women and men. She then went on to host a TV show on classic and modern Jewish texts. But most importantly, perhaps, her Gemara shiur upon her inauguration at the Knesset emphasized that Torah and leadership must be combined with compassion. Her shiur went viral, and it inspired so very many of us. I am so pleased to introduce Dr. Ruth Calderon.
Good morning. I just landed at 6 a.m. in Kennedy, and I'm a bit overwhelmed, and it's such a sweet way to land into this place. Thank you. I'd like to see how it looks when I speak. I'd like to share with you what it is for me to study Torah. And firstly, I could say that it's very personal, and as we learn in feminism, it's very personal and at the same time very political. There's a big difference between this feeling here to be among so many people and so many women that share something that's so deep to me. Most of my life, the experience of studying Torah was something very, not lonely, but very alone. I didn't know anyone else that does that, or is interested in that, and it was even a little embarrassing in Tel Aviv when I grew up, or at least completely not understood, both by my parents, who were a bit worried, and by my classmates and so forth. As you know, I am not part of a denomination or a halachic community. I'm a Jew. That's the way I. And very early on, when I was very young, I grew up in a mixed marriage between Sephardi and Ashkenazi, and my father was the Sephardi side, and so the house was very, paternalistic. And until a certain age, I thought I'm also a boy, like my big brothers, and everything was fine. The food was always ready, and the house was always clean. And one Friday night after Kiddush, my mother told me to come to the kitchen to do the dishes with her, and I was shocked. I suddenly became with the servants, upstairs, downstairs, and I think that's the minute I became a feminist. I feel today my brothers and father, Zichrono Livracha, are not aware how things get done. Those two big brothers, who are now two physicians running hospitals, they were the two pillars of my childhood, and I was following them and trying to go with them to places they went, and all my life it was the things that boys can do, and they will not take me. To go fishing, they had the motorcycles, the Harley Davidsons, all kinds of, the room, we all lived in the same children's room. They had beds, and my bed would open at night, and so my brother had cars on his wall, and Ilan had motorcycles, and I didn't have a wall. So I think, again, in that sense, it's very personal that I wanted to be with the boys. I understood that they get the good stuff, that they are where the power is. They do what I want to do, and we are kind of, it says in the army, they are the לוחמים ואת תומכי לחימה, the ones that are fighting and the ones that are supporting the fight. So I understood that my mother is the supporter, but not, and I wanted to go in there with them. And that push to be free, to go in, started when I was, I think, 11. And in my home, which was very sweet and wonderful, and all the love I have for Judaism is from there, but I couldn't even imagine that I would ever do the Kiddush. It was unthinkable. Or that one day my father will invite me to be the Pesach mother, Ava Seder, Emma Seder. Things, we never even saw anything like that. It was, if you don't see it ever, and there's no role model, and you can't even imagine it. But I wanted to. And I want to say in that sense that my book of Talmudic legends that was written in Hebrew is now coming out. Maybe it's even out there. I just landed, I didn't see it yet. By JPS, it's called Bride for One Night, and the wonderful translator is Ilana Kurshan. Maybe she's here. She's a great scholar, and she told me, we said something once together, she's very young, and she said that she's studying Talmud like a man. And I thought it's very dangerous to say that, because it might not be understood in the right way. But I would say for myself, when I studied Talmud, from the beginning, I was not a woman looking in the Talmud how they speak about us and how they treat us, and to get offended by chauvinism, or I read it as a scholar. And so when I read the story, I am him. There isn't a her that is in the Talmud. I am in the Bet Midrash, and I'm studying, and I'm meeting Eliyahu, and it's me, it's mine. And I think doing that was like, once I did that, my feminism wasn't angry anymore. It was taking part. I love the Maharat. I said there that it sounds like Baharat, the spicy. The only role model I did see, my mother, Zechona Levacha, was an amazing role model, but not for that. And the first role model that I did see was Alice Shalvi, who was my mother's cousin. And so she was like the aunt we used to go and visit. And once again, I was young, I think I was in the army. I came to do Sukkot at her home, and she said, she told all of us to think of 4 ushpizim that are women to invite. Today, it's so banal to do it. It's like, you do it before you're in, like, I was shocked. Nobody ever even brought up the idea that the ushpizim could be women. And I'm talking about Israel in the 80s. But, we are, they say in the army, not that you are slow, but you are more thorough. So Israel is and I did choose 4 women, and I know that Alice was always, for me, a big teacher and a role model. And today I'm thinking about my girls, my daughters. I love what you said about, here you are, you did it, and you're a mother. For them, this short story that I will tell you, but don't tell anyone, because she will, I can't go back home. One of my daughters, the younger one, went to Eilat after school, before the army, before Shnat Shirut, a year of service. They went, a few girls together, to a hotel, dancing, and I was a bit worried, Eilat, like, going to Vegas. So, okay, but I asked who's going with you, and I talked to the other mothers, and it was kacha, okay. They went, I was a bit worried, I tried to not think about it, they came back, asked her, Naomi, how was it, what did you do? And she said, swimming at the beach, and I saw the pictures on Facebook. Sometimes it's better not to see the pictures. But then she said, Mom, something interesting happened Friday night. One of the girls said, let's do Kiddush. So I said, yes, I know it by heart. So she said, but you have to cover yourself for Kiddush. So Naomi said, no, in our house you don't have to do anything. I can do Kiddush as I am. And I said, no, Mickey, I did my job. So I feel they received it in a way that is, they own it, it's natural to them. It goes into, when they go to Eilat with no parents, and I don't think she would even consider the term dedication, but between you and me, I hope something of that has passed. I'm interested in Jofa, and I also love the name Own, we'll keep it for something, is a sister of Kolech, and Hannah Kehat is a good friend of mine. When I did my Daf Yomi, I did it for 12 years because I had a few children in those years, and it takes a long time, and I didn't study on Saturday. So in my Daf Yomi, on the pages, on the sides, I let the children draw. I would tell them what it's about, and they would draw. So I have I love this volume of Talmud that I have. All has Miriam, who's now 22 and studying brain sciences. She's drawing little donkeys and all kinds of things, and then Naomi, and then Shaoli. And I think seeing me every morning before and every night after, when you can't even think anymore, but you have to finish the page. And I was using markers, and they were drawing next to me. That is something, again, without a theory. It wasn't something that I would teach them to do, or anyone in school would tell them, because in the Israeli public school, it's not something that is said. I felt at home now, and thank God I had enough time with my father to share this with him, that saying the Kiddush is a fight between the children and not just an ownership of the boys. Now I want to go to the political, and in my 10 minutes that I didn't look in the beginning, so excuse me, just to say that coming into the Knesset is quite a shock anyway. In some ways it's the same feeling. I now flew in the airplane. When you fly business, you get this little bag with a toothbrush. When I started flying for work, it used to be blue with a razor, toothbrush, and black socks. Which means we are very surprised you're sitting here when you are escorting someone. I wrote letters to El Al, I think 100 letters. And now if you fly, you get a white bag, and it has cream. It has the razor and the brush, but I'm just saying this because the same feeling I felt in the Knesset. It's a boys' club. They are very happy to see us, but quite amazed. How many women suddenly came in all parties, and it's still not, I think, threatening the big majority of men, but the number of women politicians that are now in the Knesset, in all parties, are the biggest ever, which is not very big yet, but out of 120, it's 20-something, I don't remember, 28, 27, 27. But it is a group, and there is a sort of power. For the Knesset, it's quite a presence, and we do have a bond between us. There's a feeling of solidarity, although we have a lot of disputes. And I just want to say that Yesh Atid, the party that I work with, and Aliza Lavi, my friend especially, is working very much on the agenda of religious pluralism and the role of women, and she had some wonderful successes like women choosing the rabbis, 4 women in the committee choosing the rabbis, the baladiyot in the mikveh not getting into the women's, I can't say underwear, because I'm not very frequently going to the mikveh, so I don't know. But legislating a world where women are accepted and respected, and still a religious Zionist world that wants to be, and this is the difference between us in the political side of our work as feminists. Outside of Israel, you work personally, in fact, in yourself, in your family, and in your community, but you don't have a wish to control or to affect the public space of America. We do. I mean, it's a small public space, Israel. It's a small size, but the wish is to have a public space, a street, an urban city that is not only in the not Jewish only in the synagogues, but Jewish outside, and Jewish in the politics, Jewish in the art and in the culture, and that the women. Now we have a minister of health, Yael, that was the head of the mayor of Herzliya before, but still there are no women in the committees of defense, and it's like there still are men issues, although it's the children of all of us, And I do think, although it might not sound equal enough, that women's voices do bring another sense of more chemla, compassion, something that is less you or me, like, who's bigger, but how can we work this out together? And I even have a very nice and surprising relationship with Hanin Zoabi, who is not Zionist, she's an Arab, she's the only Arab woman in the Knesset, and we sat together in the beginning, and I won't tell you the whole story, but the fact that she is a woman and she's alone there between all the men allows us to have another kind of conversation that is not just the usual one that we have a very, very deep dispute. I just want to end and say, the Talmud taught me that dispute is the best thing, that machloket is the way to think, that the Mishnah that brought to the world the concept of machloket, that two ideas, the conversation between them and this dispute between them is the only way to get deeper to the truth, not like Greek philosophy when the teacher is asking questions but in dialogue, but bringing the student to his own thought. But a machloket where you don't know where you'll end up because you're really getting into it, that is a wonderful way to feel in the Knesset where this dispute is part of our job, and understanding that all the 120 MKs are necessary partners in this dispute in order to make a better society. I'll just end up in saying that thank you very much for inviting me, and that you're very important to us, and that I would wish that you'll feel that the Knesset is not just a parliament for Israeli citizens, but it is the house that talks about whatever, I mean, you don't have to feel it, but the ones that do feel that Israel is a national homeland for the Jews, and I would like you to feel that we try to represent you too, and that the way you feel at home, in your communities, or when you come to visit, is very, very important and deep in our hearts, and I wish I'd be able to voice your voice as well as mine. Thank you very much.